evening, everyone, and welcome to our third one-hour series. Today we'll be discussing Acting Your Song. And our guest artist today is Christopher Pazdernik, who worked extensively with Porchlight Music Theatre in Chicago, so he's got a wealth of information to share with us. As we did last time, we will be raising money for an amazing charity, Season of Concern. If you click below, you can donate to the link below this video. And we would appreciate any and all donations. In fact, if you do donate, you get entered into the draw for a $50 coaching with Christopher. So every time you donate, just make sure you comment that you've donated so we know to enter your name into the draw. Also, as a bonus, we've had a couple of people ask who are not actors if they could donate and maybe donate their spot to somebody else who cannot afford to donate anything but would love to be entered into the draw. So if anyone would like to donate their donation spot, feel free to do so. Just make sure to let us know in comments that you've donated, and we'll open up those spots for another draw for those who are not able to donate, so they can be entered into the draw as well. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Christopher. And Christopher, if you'd like to say anything, maybe do a short intro, you can, or we can just jump straight into questions. Say hello to Christopher.
Hi, everybody. As Julia said, Christopher Pazdernik here. Any pronouns used with respect are great with me. I have been living and working in Chicago for 12 years now, ever since I graduated, and just love the community here and love to spread the gospel of musical theater whenever and wherever possible.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Christopher. I really appreciate it. I know I've taken Christopher's class and got a coaching from him too, and he is an expert at like all things musical theater. He literally knew. What was it? I think the musical 9. I said it was written in the wrong year. You're like, actually, it was written in this year by this person and that person. I was like, really? Wow, that is like. So anyway, if you need any help, Christopher is your guy. He does know a lot of things about musical theater. So as I said, if you guys would like to donate, whatever it is, $1, $50, $3, just make sure to let us know so we enter you into the draw. And we do have our first question for Christopher. I guess since we're discussing acting the song, and I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in the audition cuts mostly. So what would you say the first step is when you've chosen your song, you have your audition cut? How do you learn it? What is the first step? Do you like watch the musical first? Do you sing through the song? Like listen to the Spotify playlist of like people performing that song? What would you say the first step is?
I think the first step is to spend as much time with it as possible. What happens in an audition room is largely out of your control, right? You don't know if it's going to be cold or hot, big, small, friendly, not so much. So I urge people to be so familiar with your material that nothing in that room is gonna, shake you up. So it's about singing the song to yourself when you're walking, when you're on the train, singing it full out in a voice lesson, or in your house, in the shower, while you're washing the dishes, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're getting dressed, while somebody boring is talking at you in a meeting. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't know your audition material too well, because an audition setting is always just going to be an anxiety-filled moment. It's just human nature. No one's figured out a better way to do this, so we're kind of stuck with it. And the best way that I have found and seen to combat that is to be as prepared as possible. And so when you're talking about new material, you want to make sure that you've given yourself that time to prep. Don't pick your song the night before. Don't try and learn something 2 days before. And slight tangent, but this is where having a really robust and thought out book will help you, because then you're not trying to learn a new song for every audition. You have a stable that you are prepared and familiar with and ready to go. Julia mentioned a lot of other great things, researching the show, listening to other interpretations. All of those are great and will help you as well, but don't take the place of you learning that material backwards and forwards.
Okay, so would you say, so for example, we pick the song, we have the audition cut, and all we've done is say, listen to the song, and that's it. Now we look at the sheet music. Would you say the next step would be just go with the sheet music, make sure you sing it as written without, because there's some, recordings of people singing that song in a certain way, and it's not necessarily as it was written because people change things. So would you say go look at the sheet music, then do the music part, then do the acting part, or would you say do the I guess the lyrics as you would do, for example, a monologue, and then look at the music? Like what's the correct, if any, correct steps to take to learn a song?
Yeah, I think people's learning process is going to be unique to everybody. I tend to learn things best both that I'm marrying the words of the song to the melody, so that as I'm memorizing the lyrics, I'm singing them to the melody of the song. And as I'm working on the notes, I used to be a singer, by the way. I mean, I don't perform anymore, but I do have a certificate of vocal performance. But when I'm practicing the music, I'm also testing myself on the words, because at some point, right, the goal is that you have to be able to do the two simultaneously. So whether people, learn the notes first or the lyrics first, I think is probably a personal preference, or how your brain works. The goal is to master both of them together as soon as possible. And then you can start crafting a performance, right? Because my point is that while you're still thinking about anything technical, the words, your breath support, the right pitches, the right verse lyrics, your brain isn't going to be free enough. Your body isn't going to be free enough to really personalize your interpretation, your performance, because you're still going to be thinking about, where do I breathe? What's the next word? What's this interval? What's this weird interval? So that's why I say you really have to know the song, master all those technical elements of the words and the singing, and then you can start to explore your interpretation. But that's hard to do if you're still trying to think of what the next word is.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have done that, that I talked to. I've done it myself, I know, because it's like, oh, the audition is tomorrow, and I better get this new song learned right now. And then you come to the audition, and you're like, oh my God, what are the lyrics? And then it just goes so badly.
And I see it a lot, Julia, and it's not that, and it's obvious, by the way. We can tell. It's patently obvious when a song is brand new to someone. And it's not that anyone judges like, oh, they learned this song yesterday, we don't want to work with them. It's really that you're not allowing yourself to show yourself off in the best light. If you're sitting there and you don't know what the next word is, and you're putting all your energy into thinking about the next word, you're clearly not acting. You're probably not singing as well as you could. You're putting all your energy into trying to remember something, because that's just how short-term memory works. If we all remember trying to cram for tests in school, and you get through the test, but then the next day you completely forget everything that you just got tested on. And so you're preventing yourself from being as good as you know you are when you try and cram something and perform something brand new. It just doesn't let you be give the best audition that you're capable of giving as a performer.
Yeah, completely makes sense. All right, so we have another, let me just think of what a good question would be. I guess this one, someone is asking, are the steps, or I guess the way you would act the song, is it different for audition cuts versus the actual performance?
Yeah, I think the only big difference is that you're not going to be able to show as much range in an audition cut because of time, right? You only have so much time. But you should, but I would still prepare in the same way, right? You obviously want to know all the given circumstances about what is happening during this song and what the character is going through, but what they're figuring out or processing or communicating. A dear friend of Julia and I, Tom Vendafredo, has a great analogy. He says that for your audition, you kind of just have to feel like you are listening to a record, and you are just dropping the needle in the middle of the song, and that's your audition, right? So you want to give as much of a performance quality to what you audition with. But if the song is 5 minutes and you're doing 1 minute, it's really just that you're not going to get to show everything that you possibly can in an audition. And I think that's sometimes what people struggle to do, is to try and find that minute or whatever where they literally go through the full range of human emotion. And that's just not possible. I tell people, look for one shift, one change. And if you can just sort of show someone going from very sure to questioning, we're watching you develop a character and show some sort of development. That's not everything under the sun. That's not even everything for that one song. But at least you have shown us going from A to B. And that's a lot of information for us to go on moving forward, rather than someone who tries to go from A to W, and it's like, oh, whoa. That's just really chaotic, I think. So I would say you want to prepare the same way, with the knowledge that you are only going to get to show part of what you prepared in an audition.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Now, to remind people who I see some comments right now that some new people have joined us. So for those who haven't heard, we're raising money for Season of Concern. And if you donate, you get entered into a coaching or draw for a coaching with Christopher. And I see somebody already donated. Oh, actually, yes. One of my friends who actually introduced the idea of donating the donations. He is not an actor, but he donated and would like to donate his spot for the draw to someone else, which means if you can't afford to donate, or if you just like to get entered into the draw, even if you're donating anyway, you get to answer the following question. If you answer the question, you get entered into the draw for this free spot. So for those watching, before we ask Christopher the next question, for those watching, since we're talking about musical theater today, one of my favorite musicals is Little Mermaid. So for one of the streams before, we asked the question of about Beauty and the Beast, because that's another one of my favorite musicals. I'm a Disney girl. So for Little Mermaid, everybody who would like to answer can answer, and if you answer, you get entered into the draw. So if you were cast in Little Mermaid the musical, who would you be cast as? So make sure to comment, and if you comment, you get entered into the draw. These things are fun because we get to find out about people who are actually watching, and maybe just casting yourself is always fun as well. Now, a question for Christopher. I guess this is not exactly on how to act your song, but maybe you could touch on what's considered to be a good audition song. I guess like an actable song is a good song, but other than that, what are the criteria when someone shows up and you're like, oh, this is a great choice for a song?
Great. So a couple of things. I think when we talk about a song being actable, I think the first thing that we're looking for is an active song. And that's active as opposed to passive. So you, as much as we like to say in music theater that, every song moves the plot forward or the character development forward, there are many songs in music theater that just sort of, crystallize a moment and just sort of like live in that moment of, epiphany or sorrow or whatever it is, where the song itself is kind of the culmination of a journey and there's not a lot of forward motion in the song. What you want in an audition is a character who is going through something. They are arguing with someone, they're having a conversation with themselves, they're trying to convince themselves or someone else, talk themselves into doing something, talk themselves out of doing something, where they're really in the middle of something going on. As opposed to a song that might be more lyrical or poetic, that sounds pretty, but doesn't really give you anything to do. And one thing that I suggest to all my students is to use something that I call the monologue test, right? Which is if you have a song that you think might be a good audition song, is to read the lyrics out loud without singing and see if it sounds, like normal conversation. Something you might use as a monologue. That's why I call it the monologue test. But if it sounds like something that's kind of poetry or would be more appropriate in like a poetry reading or something like that, that the language might be interesting, but there's nothing really happening, that's not going to help you because you're not going to have anything to do while you're singing. So finding those songs where you're in the middle of something going on, something very active, is really the biggest litmus test for what is going to make an impactful audition song, because then you're going to kind of be forced to do something if the song requires it. And like I mentioned earlier in the audition cut, you just want to find something that moves you from point A to point B. It doesn't have to be A to Z or A to Q or even A to F. You'd be hard pressed to do that within 30 seconds to a minute. So just finding a song that takes you from one place to the next so that you show just some kind of evolution that is active and happening in the moment during the song. Narration songs are another big pitfall. You don't want to pick a song where you're just telling a story about other people. You really want to, for something to be active, it's really got to be something that's the character is going through in that moment. It's immediate, it's urgent, it's now. And then vocally, you want to show off your range, obviously, but you don't need to worry about showing the extreme ends of your range, right? You never know when these auditions are going to happen. You could be at 10 o'clock in the morning, you could be at 10 o'clock at night, and where your voice is and what else you've been doing. So you want to make sure that you are, picking a song that you are comfortable singing 90, 95% of the time, right? because you don't want to pick an audition song that you're like, oh, well, this song has a high G, and I can hit that high G, on a good day if I'm warmed up and healthy and the wind is blowing in a northeasterly direction and the pianist plays it at the right tempo. You know what I mean? Like, and those notes that are sort of like, in the perfect conditions, I can hit it. You don't know if you're going to have the perfect conditions at an audition. That's, kind of the game. So vocally, I say, try to find something that's rangy, right? Obviously, showing off a range, just like we do acting wise, but not trying to use the extreme ends of your range and putting that kind of pressure on yourself in a situation, as I say, that is already filled with anxiety. So active in terms of the material and range in terms of the notes, and that should set you up with something pretty dynamic.
Okay, thank you. That's some good piece of advice. And we actually have a question from an audience member. Let's see. Robert is asking, is it possible to overdo it while auditioning, or should people be subtle? And let me actually add to that, because we had another question similar to this one. That one was more specific. So when you're singing a song by a character who's like really out there, like jazz hands and all, or like some super sexy prostitute character or something, are you still just standing there and singing, or would it be okay to, I guess, walk around and like be all out, or like how far do you go?
Yeah, I think you can go, this is what I always tell people, go as far as is realistic. At the end of the day, we're always looking for people to play other people. And I think we all have seen the performances where someone is being, funny, and it reminds us of someone we know or a situation we've been in. So it's instantly relatable, and we're we're in on the joke and we're laughing. There's a step beyond that when you start to be so over the top that it becomes a cartoon, right? A caricature. And it's like, okay, yeah, but I don't know anybody who does that in real life, right? So I think the litmus test is all about you creating a character that is honest and believable based on people you've met and your life experience. As long as it's grounded in honesty, something real, I think you can go as far as you want. It's when you start making choices where you're asking for the laugh, or you're doing it just to try and get a laugh, that you start crossing a line, and then it just feels like, that's not acting anymore. You're just sort of being a cartoon on stage, and that is, almost never what people are looking for. I'm sure there's rare exceptions to this. A lot of TYA shows might be a bit of a different horse of a different color, but for the most part, for most auditions, I think you just want to, your guide should be honesty. Does it feel honest and believable to you? It'll be honest and believable to us. But if you're just trying to think of, oh, what's the wackiest, craziest thing I could possibly do? Well, that's not, I think, what anyone's looking for, and that's not going to help you. And on the other end, in terms of subtlety, I think part of it is just, playing the size of the room. Obviously, you don't have a lot of control over that, but anything that you can do to try and scale your performance. You're not going to give the same performance in a 3,000-seat auditorium as you are in a 50-seat black box, right? So just trying to, read the room a little bit always helps, and, to the best that you can. But, like everything else in life, honesty is always the best policy.
Very good advice once again. Now, a quick note for those watching, a couple of people messaged me saying they can't see the donation link on under the video. So if you're one of those people who can't see the link, also feel free to just go to Season of Concern Facebook page and donate from there. We're just going to have to trust you that you did donate and just let us know that you did. and you'll still get entered into the draw. Also,
or their website has a donation link too.
Yes, yeah. If you go to the website, or I guess if you Google them, you should be. But on Facebook, I know if you just search their name and it takes you right to the page. So if you want to find their website that way, you can also do it that way instead. But I think for most of you, the donation link should show up under the video. And so for those of you joining us just now, just a reminder, we're raising money for Season of Concern. And if you donate, make sure you comment that you've donated, and you'll get entered into the draw for a coaching with Christopher. Also, we are doing another draw for the donation of the donation made by someone. So if you're not able to donate but would like to get entered into the draw, just make sure you answer the questions we ask throughout the stream, and we'll enter you into the draw. Having said that, the next question we have for the audience is, what is your favorite musical theater song, since we're talking about songs today? So let us know. If you comment, you'll get entered into the draw. Now we have another question from the audience. Matthew is asking, I'm not a very experienced singer. I'm mostly a character actor in non-musical shows. I want to break more into singing because I know I have a voice, but I do not know what kind of skills I have as a singer or what my range is. In other words, I don't know what I sound like or even what I'm supposed to sound like. How does one go about discovering his voice?
Yes, this is a great question because it allows me to talk about one of my favorite things in the world, which are voice teachers. I think there are a lot of shows, The Voice, American Idol, all of which I love to watch, that I think sometimes can give the general public the perception that like anybody can sing and all you have to do is just like put yourself on video and someone will make you a singer overnight. And certainly a lot of people have natural talent. But here's the thing, remember, your vocal cords are muscles, right? They are things that you have to, just like any other muscle in your body, you know, if you go to the gym or you go running or you're an athlete or any other muscle in your body, you know, it takes work to build it up. You don't have biceps overnight, right? You don't have washboard abs overnight. Well, your vocal cords are the same. You can't expect that you can go from not singing at all to singing a 3-hour opera overnight. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to injure your vocal cords. You're not going to know what you're doing, right? You wouldn't take a kid from middle school and throw him into the middle of, you know, a professional basketball game, right? So how do you figure out how to use your voice? You find a voice teacher that you trust. And and the best way is to just ask singers that you know and look up to. Who's your voice teacher? Who do you recommend? You know, there's a lot of information out there, you know, and there's a lot of people, you know, marketing themselves as voice teachers. And there's a lot of, you know, like anything on the internet, there's as much bad information as good. So I think it's important when you're looking for a voice teacher to get references. And in your community, in your performing community, you know, go to the people that you know who are strong singers, who sing a lot, and ask them who their voice teacher is, or if they can recommend someone. Another place to start, if you don't have anyone that you necessarily feel comfortable asking, is going to any college or university near you that has a strong music program. A lot of times they'll have, you know, professors who also give voice lessons to the public as well, or can also make some solid recommendations. A voice teacher isn't the thing that you just want to Google, right? This is definitely the kind of thing that you want, you know, a couple solid recommendations from people you trust. And different voice teachers are good for different things. So, it's, if you've ever been to therapy, it's a bit like that. You have to find one that you kind of speak the same language. So don't stay with a voice teacher that is making you miserable. Not everybody, it's just like dating, right? Not everybody's meant for each other. So, you want to find a voice teacher that you really feel comfortable with, is the other important thing there. But if you're new to singing and you want to sing more, I think the most important way to do it safely and to get someone to help answer all those great questions that you asked, is a voice teacher. And if you're really serious about, singing at all, that's going to be an investment that is well worth your time. You wouldn't go to the Olympics without some kind of a trainer. You wouldn't just start cooking out of the blue without,
All right. It looks like Chris, you froze a little bit there.
Did
but
I?
he's back now. We're good.
Oh, I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
for maybe like 5-7 seconds.
Well, long story short, voice teachers are going to be your best friend, especially for beginning singers.
Yes, I definitely second this. I think during every single stream we've done so far for actors, we keep saying how, take classes, get coaching. It is so important. Because I personally also used to, when I started out, I was like, oh, I'm the best. I know everything. I don't need any coaching. Why do I need coaching? And then somebody's like, yeah, Julia, you look into classes. And then I did. Thank goodness I took the advice, because I started taking classes and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much I don't know. And then ever since then, I kept being in class all the time, and it just helps so much. Because even if you're a professional actor, even if you are great, even if you are on Broadway or singing at the Met, those people still take lessons. The singing voice, the voice lessons never stop for singers. Even super stars have voice teachers. That's, you always learn. So yeah, that's what I had to add on this. Always coaching, training. Make sure you do that. Now, let's see. I think we had a couple more questions from the audience. It was a comment. Dan is saying he wants washboard abs overnight. Yeah. Yeah, gotta work for it. Sorry. Okay, now for the draw, if anyone would like to answer the next question for the draw from the audience is, I think we did this for our first stream, but it would be good to know. After this stream, what are some other topics you would like us to cover for next stream? So whether it be, I know previously people mentioned the audition process and how the EPAs work, how the union works, stuff like that, resume, headshots, or maybe something specific like acting the song. So let us know what you would like to find out about next time. And if you answer, you'll get entered into the draw. And for those of us joining us right now, we are raising money for Season of Concern. And if you donate, you get entered into the draw. So make sure to donate, even if it's $1 or $2. Anything helps. Now, for Christopher, this one actually, this was, I think we discussed this somewhat during one of our coachings. So I thought maybe it would be useful for other people to know too. So when you sing your audition song, should you be acting as the character who sings that song? So I guess I'll use an example for myself. So for example, if I'm singing a song from Mary Poppins to audition for The Sound of Music, for example, would I have to be okay, this is a song sung by character Mary Poppins, and this is how Mary Poppins would sing it? Or do you just sing it as yourself? or do you sing it as the character who you're auditioning for would sing it?
Great. Great question. So many different thoughts I have at once. I think first and foremost, I think you should start from a place of singing the song as yourself, right? A good audition book, a good audition song will be something that you personally relate to, right? That you personally have an opinion, a point of view, a connection with, right? If you don't have a connection with the song, you shouldn't be auditioning with it. So I think first and foremost, what we're trying to get to know in an audition is who you are. What's your sensibility? What's your personality? What's your sense of humor? It's a little bit like a first date, honestly. We're trying to get an idea of who this person is in front of us in 30 seconds. So you always want to ground yourself. Again, I'm going to use that word, ground yourself in something honest. And that's obviously going to come from you. I think in terms of the character you're auditioning to play, it's a little tricky because I feel like a lot of times in general auditions, you're auditioning for multiple shows, and there could be multiple characters within each one of those shows that you might be the right type to play. So, you don't want, I would urge you in a general audition setting, when it's, again, for multiple shows, not to pigeonhole yourself too much, that you leave it a little more general so that the people behind the table we can use our imagination and see you in different roles. Obviously, a callback is a different situation. Obviously, if you're auditioning for one show, and there's like a definite role in that one show that you're auditioning for that you are most interested in, I think in that case you can take your song and tailor the style of how you sing it for that character, right? So taking a song that wasn't written for Mary Poppins to sing, but you're going to give it sort of a Mary Poppins vibe while you're singing it, could be really helpful in helping people see you in that kind of a way. But I think that's most helpful when, you're kind of there's really just one role to focus on. If there's a lot of things to focus on, then I wouldn't get so specific. And I don't think you really have to worry so much about playing the character the song was written for, except that you want to find the places where that character and you as your person intersect, right? So I think really it's not that you have to be Ado Annie if you're singing I Can't Say No, but you want to think about all the things that you have in common and highlight those things in yourself so that, again, they're coming across honestly. You're not, creating any kind of like a caricature or a funny voice or whatever it is, but you're sort of accenting, these are the Ado Annie-like qualities of my personality. And I think that's sort of the DNA that you want to take from the character that the song was written for, but you don't necessarily have to sing it in character from where the song came from.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. Now, Jaylan just joined us and he's asking, I have a question. How can you tell if someone is really feeling the song they are singing?
Well, this is the part of art that is totally subjective, right? I'm sure at some point you have watched something with a friend and you have loved it and the friend has thought it was utter baloney or vice versa. You know what I mean? So we don't really know, I think there's usually You know, just like anything else, movies that are popular, plays that are popular, actors who are popular, there's a general consensus from a group of people that like, oh, we like this person, we feel a connection with them. But that reaction could be very different in with a different group of people, right? If you audition for 10 people today and a different 10 people tomorrow, they might have a different reaction to what you're doing. And I think the important thing to remember is you can't control people's opinion of you. You can't control whether they like you or not. You can't control whether they want to see more of you or not. What you have control over is being as honest as possible, being as prepared as possible, walking in the door. You know if you are feeling genuine emotion or if you're faking something, and that is the thing that you can control. So I always tell people, you know, the biggest thing for auditioning in general is to focus on the things that you have control over, and this is hard, let go of the things that you don't have control over. So you don't have any control over whether they believe you or not. That's how it is in life, right? How many times have you told somebody something and they're convinced that you're lying, or you have been listening to someone and you totally believed them, and then you found out the next day they were totally making it all up? You know what I mean? These things happen all the time, and, you know, that's just, you know, human nature to a certain extent. So I think the most helpful thing is to focus on what you can control and what you can prepare going in the room, and then you have to kind of let it go after that.
All right, thank you. And for Jalen and everybody who's just joining us now, once again, we're raising money for Season of Concern. If you donate whatever it is, $1, $2, $5,000, you get entered into the draw. Just let us know you've donated. I know some people have messaged me privately and said they've donated, but feel free to put it in comments. There's no shame in donating, but I do understand if you want to remain anonymous, that's okay too. And we also have one spot right now of somebody donating their donation spot, which means if you, even if you haven't donated, if you answer the questions we asked during the stream, you get entered into the draw for this free donation spot of the draw spot, if that makes sense. So the next question for those of you who would like to be entered into the draw is, when you just started auditioning, what was your first go-to audition song ever? If you don't sing it anymore, what was your first song ever? I think mine was it was probably something from the Phantom of the Opera. I think it was Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. And I literally put like all of the Phantom of the Opera songs in my audition book, which after having taken a few classes, I have found out that you should not have multiple songs from the same show in your audition book. Thank you, Christopher. Yes, another reason to take classes. You learn new things every day. So yes, you guys answer the question to get entered into the draw. And if you have any other questions for Christopher, also put them down in comments now, because we only have about 10 or 15 minutes left of the stream. So we have to make sure we get to your questions before the stream ends, or we can leave the questions to the next stream if we don't get to them today. And I see some people are commenting that they've donated. Perfect. We will make sure to put your names in the draw. Now, next question for Christopher. Well, I guess this is kind of relevant to the whole taking class thing. Are there any classes? Well, I guess everything is online now. So this person asked for New York, or New York or anywhere online that focus on audition songs, or specifically even acting the song, that you can recommend. Any classes or coaches or anything other than yourself, I guess, because everybody already knows you do. This is something you do. So maybe there's like a class, like a group class they can join.
Sure. There are a couple places in Chicago. I'm based in Chicago, so that's going to be where my recommendations are. Where I work, Porchlight Music Theatre has a number of professional classes, especially if anyone's, we haven't been talking about dance a lot. That's obviously another huge component of music theater. We have a lot of dance classes, but other stuff I teach, my colleagues teach. We had a kind of music theater acting class earlier this fall that I think is going to come back next spring, taught by a fabulous colleague of mine, Dontario Johnson. So check out Porchlight. Some other great places in Chicago, Vagabond School of the Arts. You can just Google all these places. Vagabond, in addition to acting classes, I know another colleague of mine, Trent Stork, is teaching a song. Excuse me. He's teaching a class right now about self-tapes, which is obviously a huge thing in this time for auditioning. So Vagabond is another great place that has a variety of different classes. And then people looking for more acting-focused stuff, there is 3 places that really I see time and time again turning out great actors are the Artistic Home, Black Box Studio, and Green Shirt. Those are 3 places that I have heard really great things about or seen their showcases, etc. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to apply. Most of those are just going to be acting classes, not music theater specifically, but you'd be surprised how easy it is that you can apply a lot of the stuff that you learn to a song right away. So those are 3 other places. I'm sure everybody's offering things online right now as well.
And you said Trent is teaching a class. Is that at Vagabond that he's teaching?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the self-tape class.
Yeah, self-tapes are, I think somebody actually mentioned either the stream before this one or the first one that they wanted to find out more about self-tapes. And I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all relate. It's like, oh, what do I do if this happens? How should I film this? How should I tape that? So, actually, about that, Christopher, with all the things being virtual, so if you're actually in the room, acting the song in the room, you could probably act it out a bit bigger than on camera, right? So what do you have any, I guess, suggestions or like things you should change, or should you not change anything when you submit video auditions acting wise for the songs?
Yeah, I think I don't think you have to change as much as you think you do. A couple of the biggest things that I tell people about self-tapes that I've seen sort of be hallmarks of a great self-tape. One is just making sure we can see enough of you. People have a tendency to do an extreme close-up in a self-tape, which is really great for me to know if you've brushed your teeth or not that day, but doesn't necessarily help your physicality, because physicality is a huge thing that we're trying to get a gauge when we meet new performers. Are you comfortable in your body? Are you comfortable gesturing naturally? So I really say you want to get from the torso up, your waist up, so probably a little bit farther out than I am right now, so that we can see you gesture, we can see you move a little bit, but we don't need a whole body shot, obviously, because then you're just too far away. So usually from like the waist up, torso up is a good frame. And, the greatest thing about self-tapes is you can watch it right afterwards. So you can tell if you feel like something is a little too much or too little based on what you're trying to do. It's almost the best and worst thing ever, right? How many times do you wish you could go back and watch the audition you just gave in person? Well, when you're self-taping, you can. And, don't drive yourself crazy. Don't tape it 10 times or 20 times. I usually tell people, if you love the first take, great. I know some people, that's just what they have to do for their mental health, is like, I'm going to film it and send it. If you do want to compare a little bit, though, I would say maybe film up to 3 and pick the best one of the 3, and give yourself the benefit of being able to watch what you send before you send it in. And last but not least, the thing on film that is a dead giveaway are your eyes. You can't check out for a minute. You might be able to check out and think about your grocery list if you're performing at the Lyric Opera House and everybody is a mile away from you. But on camera, you can't check out for a minute, and you need to make sure there's always life in your eyes. There's something happening behind your eyes. Your eyes need to be alive. Otherwise, you get dead eyes, and no matter how good you sound, that's probably the biggest turnoff in self-tapes is someone who doesn't look like they're present. And that's mostly from your eyes.
Yeah, that's so true. Once I started doing self-tapes and watching myself, I was like, oh my God, it's so obvious when you're like every single thing you do, every little thing, it's so obvious. So yeah. It's like, yeah, definitely don't check out and be like, oh, I'm not in the moment anymore. Because you do have only like a minute usually to sing. So now another question for the audience before I forget, since for those of us just joining us, Christopher does private coachings, and today we're doing a draw for a private coaching with him. But if you were to do a coaching with Christopher, what would be one of the things you would like to coach with him? And for those who don't know, Christopher, could you just quickly maybe go over some things that you can coach? Because I know you mentioned, obviously, the acting, the song part, and all that stuff. But do you do things like vocal coachings also, or like what are the things that you do?
Sure. I'm not a voice teacher, unfortunately, mainly because I think you need to know a lot more than I do, and I'd hate to lead anyone astray. So a couple of things I do kind of like in order of where they happen in your preparation. I do audition book coaching, which is I help you put together an audition book of about 12 songs that I think are really great for you. Give you feedback on the songs you have, all the steps that go into making a really good audition book. And then secondarily, I'll do either audition coaching if you have the things prepared, other acting coaching if it's not audition related, and that can be either scene work or working on your performance of a song as well, acting the song, etc. And then I also work helping people put together a cabaret show. So if you have always wanted to put together, you know, Julia sings Julie, and you want to do a cabaret of all Julie Andrews songs, I love working with people to realize those kinds of things as well. Obviously, that's a bit more specific to Chicago, but I have done a couple of them over streaming during quarantine. So if you're in Arizona and you want to put together a streaming cabaret, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't know you did that, the cabaret stuff. That's really interesting too.
Oh, I love doing it. I've done it for a few people now, as well as my own shows. The only difference in my own shows is that I find other people to sing because no one should pay money to hear me sing. That's why I'm on the side of the table that I'm on. I love singers more than anything else in the world. And that's how I know I'm not supposed to be one.
Okay, let's see. Now we are almost done with our stream. So any last minute questions, you guys put them down in comments right now. And don't forget to be entered into the draw one more time. If you'd like to let us know what you would coach with Christopher if you were to win the draw, or if you were to just schedule a coaching with him yourself, let us know what you'd be coaching. And we have, Jaylan is asking a question. When you are singing for an audition, is it a good idea to act out how the character would behave during the song? Well, Jaylan, I believe Christopher already covered this question earlier today. I know you joined us a little later, but once we're done, this video is going to be saved, so you'll be able to go back and watch. I think it was near the beginning that someone asked the same question, and Christopher explained on how, I think the question was, how far can you go? What's too much? What's not too much? And also, should you act as the character whose song you're singing, or should you be yourself? So Christopher went into detail on that too. So just make sure you watch the video at the beginning, and that'll answer your question. Now let's see. Dan is asking, can you use self-tapes to evaluate your own singing? Well, I guess, yeah, I don't know if Christopher, you want to maybe quickly answer that, but I guess my answer would be yeah, why not? Yeah.
I mean, I think you can use it to evaluate to a certain degree. You can evaluate, certain things that way. That's, it's great to watch yourself. I definitely recommend taking advantage of the opportunity to watch yourself. I would just caution that you don't try and self-teach or self-correct vocal things without, a really experienced and trained voice teacher helping you, if that makes sense. I think there are certain sort of stylistic or performative things that you can fix by watching yourself. But if you're looking to expand your range or other more technical parts of your singing, I think that requires the help of a trained professional and isn't something that you can just fix by watching yourself. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes. All right, thank you for that. I'm just quickly checking for any other questions or comments. Now, everybody who's watching, if you've donated, let me know either via messages if you would like to remain anonymous, I guess, or comment in comments if you donated, just so we know, because I know a couple of people have donated directly to the page instead of on this video because the link didn't show up for some reason. And also, one last question for everybody, if you would like to get entered into the draw via answering the questions. We've asked this question in one of our previous streams, but it's always good to know, since we do have some new people watching today, what is your dream role in musical theater? So if you have a dream role, or maybe one you've played already and that was already your dream role, so just comment, and if you comment, you'll get entered into the draw. Now, Christopher, I did have a couple other questions, but they're not related to acting the song as much as they are to like general audition questions. So maybe if you could, I don't know, give like a piece of advice or anything else you want to say, because since you're an expert at this, maybe there's something else we didn't ask that people absolutely must know.
Yeah, one of the things that I was going to bring up that didn't relate specifically to any of the questions, and this I learned from an episode of Inside the Actors Studio with Liza Minnelli, who is one of my heroes, is the importance of you knowing what you're singing. I think a lot of times music theater performers tend to memorize the lyrics, and so you know all the words, which is great. But you haven't really personalized or internalized what the lyrics mean to you. And what Liza talked about is that she has a book where she, on the left, or like a notebook, whatever, on the left side, she writes out the lyrics of the song, that are written. There's just a lot of science that talks about how much more you internalize something if you have to handwrite it out. So she handwrites the lyrics to the song, and then on the facing page on the right side, she rewrites the lyrics in her own words, and they don't have to match the music, right? They don't have to scan with the melody. Totally free form here, but you sort of rephrase everything in your voice, in your words, the way you would say it. And it's a great way to really take another big step in terms of really making your performance of the song personal to you and specific to you, because that's what makes us want to hear you sing the song rather than Julia sing the song or me sing the song. You know, you're never going to out Julia's version of the song, but she's never going to out Diana's version of the song. You know what I mean? So that sort of idea of writing down the lyrics that are written and then writing them down in your own words is a really great sort of practice and exercise to really making your interpretation your own. And that's something I highly recommend for everybody to do with anything you sing, especially your audition material.
Sounds good. Now, let's see. We don't have any more questions from the audience, and I believe I entered everybody's names into the draw. So let's see. Yes, so we're out of time, so thank you everybody for joining us. We did have 7 people who donated. A couple of you donated a couple of times, so thank you for that. But we have 7 names in total, and we had actually 2 people who donated their donation to somebody else, which means if we pick their names or one of their names, then the people who did not donate but answered questions get entered into the draw for that person. So, Christopher, could you pick a number from 1 to 7?
5.
Number 5. And the winner is Matthew Walsh. Yay, Matthew. Matthew is actually my friend, and he's been watching all of our streams, and he's been so disappointed that he hasn't won anything so far. So congrats, Matthew. And he donated today, so thank you for donating too. Matthew was actually the person who asked the question about not being a singer and wanting to get into singing more. So I'm sure he can use some help there. So hopefully, Matt, hopefully you're still watching. If not, I'll send you a quick message and let you know. Now, Christopher, could you let everyone know how they can contact you in case they want to schedule a coaching with you?
Yeah, I have a professional coaching page here on Facebook, Music Theater Encyclopedia. So I'll try and put that in the comments as well. But if you search for that on Facebook, you should find me, and then you can, I think all my contact information is on there, or you can just message me directly through Facebook. But that's sort of where I direct everybody for any kind of coaching inquiries. And if you follow the page, I usually post some kind of fun music theater content there every week. So just to keep folks getting their fix during COVID times.
Perfect. Yeah, if you could post, even after we're done with the live stream, if you could post a link, because I find a lot of times people are like, oh, I'll look for it, and then they forget what it's called, and then they can never find it. But if you guys, if anything, always you can just message this page, and I'll put you in touch with Christopher, and Matt, send me a message, and I'll put you in touch with Christopher for your coaching with him. And anybody else who wants a coaching with Christopher, also, if you can't for some reason find him online, just message this page and I'll put you in touch with him. But he is tagged in like every single post here, so I'm sure you'll find him okay. Also, if you'd like to join more of these streams, make sure to join our group called 1 Hour Series. I posted the link in the comments. We didn't have as many people watching today as we usually do, but usually we have a bunch of people watching, so if you'd like to join the community, you can. And every time we do a draw for a coaching with our guest artists, so next time maybe you will be one of the lucky winners. And it's always, well, so far it's been always a new person who won. So that's why Matthew, who's the winner today, was like, why don't I ever win? But he was the lucky winner today. So Matthew, I'll put you in touch with Christopher, and if anybody else has any questions, feel free to message this page or message Christopher if you'd like a coaching. And Christopher, if there's anything else you'd like to say as a conclusion, go ahead. If not, then we're all done.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your expertise. I'm sure a lot of people will find this useful. And I know a bunch of people messaged me who couldn't join live. They will be watching afterwards. I know they'll be disappointed they didn't get entered into the draw with you, but oh well. They have all the information if they want a coaching with you. So once again, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for watching. Join us again next time. We'll announce the next stream on this page once the date is set up. We might or might not have a choreographer and dancer joining us next to talk about the dance auditions. All right, thank you everybody, and have a great night.